Hello, welcome to the Knitting with Anxiety and Stress podcast. This is season 1, episode 5. I am happy to see you guys after a month off that was not planned. We found mold, and we found more mold than we thought there was. We saw a little bit on the wall and thought, oh, this would be real easy. We can just move the furniture out and clean it all up. Oh no, no. Oh my goodness. Anyway, but let's start at the beginning. Okay. You'll see I do have a transcription turned on. So uh I have not tried that before. We'll see if I can make a transcript available. Um, okay. So how can we use knitting to relieve anxiety and stress during sudden life upheaval? What do you do when your day, your week, or even the entire month goes sideways? How can we use knitting to rebalance ourselves? That's going to be the main topic of this podcast. Now, to use knitting as an anxiety and stress management tool, we began a little bit differently than you might expect. This is intentional. We want to plan for success because if you don't plan to succeed, you plan to fail. Before starting any knitting session, we need to wash our hands. I covered how the dirt that gets into the creases inside your finger pads and on your hands will embed itself in your knitting and you will not be able to get it out, no matter how much you wash it. I covered that in episode 1. It was something my grandmother tried to teach me, and I had to learn that one the hard way. So I usually, before I start knitting or sit down to do anything, I usually go ahead and go to the restroom because I do not like being interrupted halfway through a project or my 1 hour of knitting time by suddenly realizing, oh, I drink too much tea. So that's just a good way to start because then you've got your hands washed. Um, then we're going to center ourselves with intention. I'm directly descended from 3 different Native nations, and I have not come across a Native nation that does not believe that your emotion, your mental state goes into your whatever you're making. They all believe that. I have not met one who does not believe that. So we want to center ourselves before we get started. And that goes for whether you're writing, you're teaching, making dinner, sewing, mending. So let's place our hand over our heart and take 4 slow breaths in and out. And the 4 is intentional. There are 4 points to this podcast episode and every podcast episode. And that is because we want to work within the circle. We align ourselves to the 4 directions that the creator gave us, the 4 main elements, and life happens in a circle. The academic year is a circle. The seasons are a circle, right? So we're going to align ourselves with the way the universe was created, okay? So let's get started. Let's also take a minute to just dust any stress off that we are holding that tension in our shoulders. Excuse me a second. I did dust, but that was almost so at this point. You've got to hear this story, right? I have actually prepared a presentation for this. So give me 1 second. Let me make sure it is set to that. Oh my goodness, it won't let me minimize. Okay, hang on. Let me see the page. Okay, and then I want to set this to, okay, hang on. I'm gonna have to turn this to screen share first. So just bear with me. Oh, that's odd. Huh, interesting. Okay, so let's go here and let me move this up out of the way until I've been so busy with the mold and everything. It's like, what's new in Zoom now? I have no idea. Grab yourself a cup of tea. Isn't this the cutest mug? I got this at a store. They rebranded themselves. They're called Nordisk, something like that. See, there's a little troll inside. It's over in Pulso. Alrighty. So let's put this on the slideshow, right? This is what we found when we removed the furniture out. And this was not the only place. Um, there was an open back bookcase there from IKEA that should have prevented that. But our landlord is new and they did a sketchy job on replacing the roof, and everybody's having this. There's 2 windows here. There's one right there on the left and another on the right, and everybody's in this entire building having this problem. So this is why I ended up taking part of why I took an entire month off. 2 weeks, first 2 weeks of March was the mold. We thought we were going to be able to do this and do all of our spring cleaning in 4 days. No, no, that's not what happened. And then I got bit by a baby wolf spider. And it's like I felt it bite me and did the automatic smash. And then it starts burning and itching. And I scratched and everything. And it was right before bedtime. I did not think about getting its venom under my fingernails. I should have immediately gone and washed my hands. And I ended up scratching up near my tear duct like this, and it got in my tear duct. And I've got a horrible red rash from it still. It's not wanting to heal up very fast. So my arm's fine. It's where I rubbed it into my tear ducts and onto my face under my eyes. This is the problem. So that ended up just derailing an entire month. Okay. So again, 2 different stories today on why you need to wash your hands before you get started, right? And we did our breaths. You can tell I'm a little flustered because I had forgotten I had put these slides in here to go on with while I was talking about that. All righty. So what have I been able to knit with all of this going on? Because it's just is very upsetting. Very much not me being able to have that feeling of balance and everything in the center of my body. This is one of the things that I had just started, and I don't, let me grab it. I have, and there's a reason why I started on this. Yes, I remember I said you should only have 2 projects at a time. That's when life is going well. And I have to say that putting things back was way more exhausting and stressful than than moving them in the first place. I have not made much. I have not made much headway on the Tamifracilian that I'm doing. I will say that what I learned from the couple of rows that I was able to do on that, and I'm not even going to try to get that out right now because it's in a place where it's just not convenient. I found that if your brain is extremely unsettled, don't even try. I thought it would help calm me down. We'll take a look at that pattern in a second. It's a great chart. It is easy to follow, even when you have anxiety and tracking issues. But when you've got such an unusual upset, I had one whole row that I had to pick out, and I'm at the part where you're decreasing it for the crown of the head. On this, and with our cloth mask, why were my socks in there? When we went to go put stuff back, I'm like, what the heck? Why are my socks in there? Oh, it's been eye-opening, shall we say? Okay, so why do I have this? Why did I start this? You can see this from the um, let me take the sticky note off the front of it. I got this half price book. So this is the knitting dictionary that I've been using. Um, I've had a couple of other kinds, and I really like this one the best. I have another one I might show you in a different episode, but it's in the hall closet. If I can't find something in here that's going to work, then I go look at that other one. Anyway, so what the heck is this, and what am I doing with it? This one project has really kind of kept my sanity. When I was extremely stressed, I took the toe apart on my tube socks because I had made the toe too long, and I was just like, I don't feel like ripping it out and redoing it. And I found it was much simpler to just cut the end of the toe off and then unravel it back. So I've just about got that. I've got this where I need to do the Kitchener stitch to weave the toe in, just because it's a tube sock, there's no heel. If you want to know what pattern I'm using for that, drop that in the chat and I will pop the link in. YouTube doesn't do clickable links, but you would be able to copy and paste it to find it. So first, this is about this long. This is going to be a hairband. So I've almost got it for my small head where it's going to come up. This is 2 strands. You can see this is extremely thin strands of cashmere that I ordered off of Temu. And I covered that purchase in another episode. It was $20. I thought I was only getting one skein. I got six, and it is so buttery soft, but the strands are so incredibly thin. You really need to knit two strands together. And I probably should have combined it with like a strand of sock yarn that was a similar color for some additional strength because of the nylon in the sock yarn, but I didn't. So we'll see how it works. Um, so why did I do this? I am logged into my Ravelry. I had knitted, right here. Is this gonna, come on, whoops. Hang on. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna go back to that one. We're about to shorten a minute. We are actually on point 3, if you didn't catch it. Okay. So here we're in my Ravelry, right? Now, I looked at this headband here, the Hedera headband, and I looked at the braided cable headband, and I also looked at the heart cable headband, and this one down here. What is this one called? Celtic Roots. I had previously done not this one because this is a child one and they can pull off a gigantic bow, right? There's one that I have, a pattern that I have that works similar, but it's very narrow. That's also in there, but in my Ravelry favorites, but I'm not going to pull that one up right now. I don't remember what page it's on. I already went through this before I turned the camera on, right? This style in an adult size does not look good on me. And I tried one that was shaped like this, but it was garter stitch. That didn't work. I tried it with 2 strands of this cashmere. I tried it with a single strand. That didn't work. And I like this idea with a button on top, which is what I might do with this one. I kind of wanted to try to do a twist. And I think there's one down here that has a twist. Nope, not on this. I have, as you, I have so many pages, 402. I did not have that many until I started watching uh, Rosemary and Pines. And just her recommendation. Here's the one that I tried before. This does not look good on me. This looks cute as a button on this lady. Does not look good on me. Now I have done this one for one of my daughters, but I did the just the chunky braided cable on the page before, but did the twist right in the front. This one, I did this one like that for my daughter and my youngest daughter, and she absolutely loves it. I kind of want to try to do that with this, but I'm not sure how that's actually going to work out. So I may just have to do a little bit of a plain bit and just do the button overlap thing. Now, this one, why did I pick this pattern? Let me my presentation over here. Okay, so why did I pick this pattern? You can tell a little bit from the picture and not so much up front. That you're looking at the back of it. So you can see how that's going to grip my hair. You see this kind of cups it in here, and then I put a band of ribbing on the outside. And what you see here in the picture, that is the front. So I did that on purpose so that it would hold on to my hair because those other ones were not. They did not hold my hair in place. They did not stay where it did on those people in those pictures. So that's why I started that. And it's really kind of saved my sanity with all of this stuff going on. You can see the pattern book there, the picture. The chart down at the bottom is not necessarily the easiest to understand. It makes it look like there's more rows than there are. But if I can get that, if you can see that, and then there's the sample. Sample pictures are always done in a light color because it's just easier to see the definition than on dark colors. So this is a prototype, obviously, and we'll see how it works. I will model it for you guys when it's done. And if you guys want a copy of it to try it yourself, I will pop it into Google Docs and put a link in the description. How long have I ended up doing it? And, what are the recommendations for different head sizes? My head is the same size as a 9-year-old boy. So, I started this right before we found the mold. So you can see, I put the back part in the center of my head. You can see I have done half of my head circumference in a month with being that stressed out. And yes, there were days that I couldn't deal with anything and I had to go to bed. So it definitely there's definitely days when it rains, it pours, and planning ahead helps you deal with that. But sometimes our sense of balance is so far off. We've just got to go lay down under our weighted blanket and like take a nap or just have music on or something. Just lay there and close our eyes and pretend the world doesn't exist. I've had several of those days in the last month. So the knitting has helped me a little bit to bounce back. And if you're living with anxiety and you're carrying a huge stress overload, you know that is those little tiny steps are huge. They're absolutely huge. There's a Chinese proverb, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So enjoy those steps and celebrate them like they're big wins because they are. They absolutely help you get back on track. You're not just going to suddenly wake up one morning and everything's, great. It's small steps getting back. It may seem like you got slammed down in a hole all at once when you moved the bookcase away from the wall, but that's been going on for a while and you just didn't realize it, right? So there is moving on to our last point 4. I am almost healed up from when I realized I had a polyester allergy. It still gets kind of itchy sometimes. This is a cotton sweater. So number 4, though, look for the upcoming short on how to block correctly. I had that filmed and had, had told my video editor, who's one of my kids, who also happens to be my goalie coach, that I wanted them to go ahead and do that. And then we found mold, it was March 5th. So that still needs to be converted, but hang on. I have got some notes here on that one because I want to make sure I don't forget anything. I hope to have that ready and uploaded by the middle of this week. If you have been told you need to soak your items in cold water to block it, that is completely incorrect. It could actually damage your finished knitted project, depending on what it is. Now, if it's something this size, obviously it's not going to be that impactful, but when you're talking about a whole sweater, you could break stitches, you could distort it out of shape beyond being able to use blocking pins to get it back. You honestly do not need to use blocking pins if you've done all your preparation and you've done your swatch and everything. I have never used them, and I've been knitting since I was 7. My eldest son just had their second child, so I've been around a little while. There is a trend to tell people to do this when they block, to soak it in cold water. And it's just absolutely shocking to me. I don't know how this trend started. I don't know who started pushing it, but it is not correct. And I do cover all the reasons for that in the short because there's not that many sequence steps to it, right? I'm not going to go into any more detail and repeat myself here. So just look for that. So, conclusion. Go back to this view. Alrighty. This is a stock photo. I have no idea where it is. I'm guessing California somewhere because the collection of stock photos it came from had some pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge. So we have covered 4 points in this podcast. We covered the importance of making sure your knitting project stays clean from the get-go so dirt doesn't get embedded in it. We briefly covered what happened with my first knitting project when I didn't listen to my grandmother. Next, we centered ourselves with intention so that our anxiety and stress does not go into your project. That is something you do not want to pick back up later when you wear that item, right? This also decreases the likelihood of making a mistake that has to be ripped out. If you're tired and you think, oh, I'll just do one more row, I would advise you against that. Yes, I repeat these 2 items every episode because they are that important to using knitting as an anxiety management tool. And this is a brand new podcast. This is still season 1. I can't assume that any of you have seen episode 1 yet. The third item, I reviewed how I was able to maintain some semblance of being centered with such a dramatic mold surprise and then getting bitten by a mildly venomous spider. For point 4, I gave you a heads up on the uncupping short on the most important finishing technique for knitting or crocheting, how to block. In the next podcast, we'll be moving these episodes from being posted weekly, which is what I was doing the first month of it, to twice a month. So today is the 4th. I'm trying to look at a calendar. I have not changed my whiteboard calendar yet for April. So the next one will be posted either the 18th or the 19th. So there's only going to be 2 episodes per month going forward. And part of that is because I am a teacher and spring is a very busy time for me. And I just got a new student who booked me for 20 hours. So I'll be working on how to upload a short in those off weeks. Be sure to check the post tab from the channel view for any written updates. I know those don't necessarily always get pushed forward by YouTube. I've only done a few of those, honestly, and I forget to check the post for the other channels that I follow. So I did want to mention that specifically here. So if you liked this podcast, please consider subscribing. Give it a like. Subscribing gets you notified of new episodes. YouTube automatically puts notifications on. You don't have to do that yourself anymore, thankfully. And do not forget, happy knitting. Okay. And yes, this is one of my coffee mug designs. So let me know in the comments if you want this pattern. I'll upload it into a Google Docs and I'll make it available for you guys. So that is all for this episode. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Remember, you've got